Inner City Law Center is a nonprofit legal services provider. We assist folks who are homeless or at risk of homelessness throughout LA County. So we help veterans get their VA benefits from the federal government. We help disabled people get SSI. We help people who are homeless with various legal issues, oftentimes getting their IDs back. And then we solve a number of issues for folks who are currently housed at a risk of homelessness. So we defend people in eviction cases, which are civil cases, and we negotiate with landlords to keep families in their homes. Our broad objective here at Inner City Law Center is to work towards ending homelessness in LA County. And so we work on a wide array of legal services to move towards that direction. Our organization is primarily a nonprofit legal services provider. My role as the director of public policy is advocating with city council members, county board of supervisors, and state assembly members and state senators, really all levels of government and beyond federal. We don't work on federal policy, but essentially advocating with these officials to move policies forward to address homelessness. And so that includes advocating for policies to build more housing, build more affordable housing, spend more money on prevention, prevent criminalization of homelessness. Oftentimes what we see is sort of government agencies and especially the police fining people and ticketing people for being homeless. And unfortunately that there's multiple studies that we have showing that actually delays people exiting homelessness. And so we work against those policies. And then we work on policies to keep families in their homes, protect, expand rent control, and policies generally to make sure that families are able to stay in their homes. So I mean, I think if we look at this from a much broader perspective, the city of Los Angeles and the broader county, even really going all the way, looking at this at the perspective of California, there's just been a very significant it's been very difficult to build housing, and California has not built housing sufficient to meet the growing population over time, going all the way back to the 70s. And so that's resulted in increasing housing costs and over time, massive growth in homelessness. What we have seen in recent years is the government has made very concerted efforts to tackle this problem and to get people into housing. Part of that is providing financial assistance to people, identifying people at risk of homelessness, during the COVID pandemic and beyond, buying up hotels and making them into permanent housing, directing a lot of money into permanent affordable housing, permanent supportive housing, also partially funding legal services. So a lot of the work we do is defend people in eviction. So if somebody's not evicted, they're much less likely to not enter homelessness, which is a lot of the work we do. And so what we've seen is, especially over the last 2 to 3 years, a moderate decline in homelessness throughout LA County. And I think that signals that much of the work the county has been working, the county and the city is potentially slowly moving us towards a positive direction. Of course, the underlying issue, is still an area where there needs to be a lot more work, building a lot more housing, building a lot more affordable housing, and directing more funding to prevention services. I mean, Los Angeles is a very big city. We have over 4 million residents, almost 500 square miles, from beaches to the valleys. I think what we've seen is that the council and sort of and this county has made a lot of effort to bring people inside, to whether that's through purchasing of hotels and motels, building permanent supportive housing. I think that impact is based on the reports we've seen. That impact is not uniform across the city, and so what we've seen is potentially in Venice and maybe Hollywood, where there's been some of these more acquisitions of like hotels where people are been able to enter into permanent housing there. We may have seen more of a sharper decline in those neighborhoods. Obviously, here in Skid Row is a neighborhood with very persistent poverty, and there are projects under construction, in terms of affordable housing and permanent supportive housing. And we're here in the Produce Hotel, which at one point was a functioning hotel. Now above us are SROs, which are permanent supportive housing for families. So I think if I were to interpret that data, I would see that there's not a uniform decrease across the city, and it's possible that we're not seeing as much of an impact in Skid Row. And I think that signals to the city that they need to make more of an investment in Skid Row as well, in terms of building that affordable housing, building permanent supportive housing, and also allocating rental subsidies and prevention services in the Skid Row neighborhood. Because while the Skid Row neighborhood is often thought about as a neighborhood of only homeless folks, this is also a neighborhood of many residents of permanent supportive housing, of affordable housing, residents in shelters. And so, those are often folks at risk. So there's more support for those folks. And then, of course, more targeted assistance to people who are currently living on the street. Now, there may not be a hotel or motel to purchase in Skid Row. It might end up being a different neighborhood. And so really working with communities, making sure they're able to get into permanent supportive housing. So all to say is the impact may not be uniform across the city. Yeah, so I mean, people enter homelessness through various pathways. When we're looking at some of the research on this, one of the best research on this is from the Benioff Institute in San Francisco, and they found that approximately 30% of people are directly entering homelessness because of an eviction. Around another 20% of people are entering homelessness indirectly through an eviction. So they might have been staying with a family member who's evicted, or they might have been staying with a friend that was evicted. And so we have almost half of homelessness, directly and indirectly connected to evictions. The biggest portion of the work the Inner City Law Center does is provide tenants eviction protection. So if somebody's facing an eviction, they've received their notice, we're able to provide folks with defense in civil court and ensure that their rights are protected. And we have a very high success rate doing so. I believe for more than half of our clients, they're able to stay in their home and win that eviction case. For another 45% of our clients or so, they often have to, they are able to accept a settlement that gives them a much bigger cushion, right? So they might be able to get $15,000 or $20,000 to help them find their next place. And so that's a big role, that's a massive role we do. When folks who are already homeless, we provide various legal services to help them get housing. One of them is we help people get their IDs and driver's licenses. This is a major issue. One of our biggest, when folks walk in, we have clinics to help folks with that particular issue. Oftentimes there are sweeps and sort of the police are sort of criminalizing folks, giving them fines, tickets, and then taking all their belongings, throwing them away. That might include their birth certificate, their driver's license. So we help people get those services back. Similarly, for folks who are experiencing homelessness, if there are other criminal issues, oftentimes when folks are applying for an apartment, they might have some crime on their issue, but that crime might be due to a crime of poverty, right? It might be that they were jaywalking. And so we're able to help them with that and sort of get expungements from the courts. The courts often do give expungements, recognizing the unique circumstances that these people are in. So those are services that we often offer to folks who are homeless. Those are just some of the services we offer, and we go. Well, I mean, I would say, if we're looking 10 years or 30 years, the biggest failure is not building enough housing for the population growth. We've added thousands and thousands of jobs in LA County. We have not built the housing necessary. And so that's forced people to live all the way out in San Bernardino, out in Riverside, out in basically areas where people might be driving into the city 1 or 2 hours. And then for some people, it's really driven up the rents to a point where they can't afford it and they're now living on the street. I think that's what I identify as the biggest policy failure of the city and the county is not addressing that issue. Now, I mean, I might add a couple other things here when it comes to folks who are experiencing homelessness. Specifically, we do need more coordination across the city and the county. LA County's area of around 10 million people with around 88 separate cities. One of the things we've worked to do that is we've worked to build an organization called the CASA, the Los Angeles County Affordable Housing Solutions Agency, which creates the opportunity for these 88 cities in the county to work together to address homelessness and to prevent people from entering homelessness, to build affordable housing. That I think is an opportunity there. Another area of opportunity potentially is the county has created a new homelessness department. Again, these are all opportunities where there's increased need for collaboration across the city and the county and across the 87 other cities to really work towards this goal of addressing homelessness in a very significant way and getting people into homes.